Could the newly minted MVP be back for Game 2 for the Philadelphia 76ers? And can Anthony Davis once again put together a dominant performance and the Lakers go up 2-0 against the defending NBA champions? This is Hoop Talks. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Hoop Talks. Justin Pooney, Creed Mustafa, Jelani Goodridge.
Impressive intro. Impressive.
I had that coming. I know. And last but certainly not least,
I'm used to it. I'm like, am I here?
I wanted to switch up the. I normally go around the horn like that, but I want to switch it up today.
Normally you go straight here and then you forget these.
Yeah, well, me and him are kind of arguing
today.
right now.
That was very nice.
Yeah, because you're new to the team. I want to make you feel special.
Okay.
Because give it like a week, you're gonna end up hating us, and you want to come out of
Us?
me, so-
Speak for yourself.
me probably, yeah. Well,
Exactly.
Speaking of hate, right? Boston Celtics fans are going to hate this because Joel Embiid could potentially be back for Game 2 against of their Eastern Conference semifinal series. Of course, James Harden went off last game in a 119-115 victory. Jelani, James Harden turned the clock back to 2018, 45 points. Noor, your boy Jason Tatum had 39 in a respectable number in a losing effort. Your Celtics played no defense whatsoever. And Krina, now, potentially, my MVP, Joel Embiid, could be making a return. How much trouble are the Boston Celtics in if Joel Embiid comes back tonight?
Can I just say, going between everybody like that was so chaotic. I loved it, though.
I love it.
I'm like, what, do I? Do I get a chance?
It's like you don't know whose turn it is to actually speak. But I think the Celtics are in trouble if Embiid comes back because they were not supposed to lose that game without Embiid playing, but look what happened. They did. And, if you look at both of these teams, they both had, very good contributions from their main guys, but now that's where the defense is going to come into play. Who's going to play better defense and be able to get those stops, be able to capitalize and come away with the win? And now that Embiid might be back, I don't know. That just got a lot harder, especially because then the Sixers would gain a very high defensive advantage.
Noor, I want to ask you this. Al Horford, I think, is going to play a big role in defending Joel Embiid and keeping him on the perimeter. Do you think that his sprained LCL is going to be a big factor in how his mobility is? And can he be the MVP type Joel Embiid, or is he going to be a lesser version of him?
I think it's going to depend on the extent of the injury. He's obviously going to go out and want to put his best foot forward. He's going to want to pretty much play 45 minutes the whole way through, but will he? Probably not. She should be on a time limit, in my opinion, to begin with. Mm-hmm. We might not even see him. I think we'll see him start, but he could probably even taken off a little bit into the first quarter. So I agree. Obviously, my Celtics, I saw what happened last game. I saw what went down. But I think in terms of him coming back and maybe not being 100%, it actually might help the Celtics. Because now you have one guy who will demand so much attention. I know he will, but you're also putting the ball in his hand. We could see Mazzulla try something where you're like, okay, now Embiid's coming back. We know he's a little bit hobbled. Let's make Embiid get the shots in. Let's defend Harden. Let's defend Maxey, Tobias Harris, all those guys around you. Let's make Embiid win them the game while he's going to be on his hobbled leg. So I think if they go down that route and if they actually play defense,
it's a big ask.
This could happen. I mean, they gotta get this. This is the last game in Boston.
They have to. And I think, Jelani, I'm going to ask you this two-parter question. I'm going to ask you to piggyback off news about the Celtics defense, because that was their calling card last year, and this year it just seems like they haven't really bought in. But James Harden first. Is he have to be the focal point again? Does he have to be aggressive, or do you think he needs to really feed Joel Embiid and get him back into rhythm, or does he turn the clock back and continue doing what he's been doing?
I think it kind of ties in with both questions, because if you're looking at that game one, the problem that I saw with the Celtics was that coverage, the single coverage that they went to in that pick and roll. What Mazzulla wanted to do that, right? But it didn't work, right? The fourth quarter, we saw James Harden have 15 points through that pick and roll with that single coverage. So I don't know if that's going to work in game two, right?
Yep.
Now that Embiid's there, right, he's obviously going to draw those guys, draw defenders, of course. That might leave guys open, though, right? You're looking at three-point shooters across the board. Melton, he had a good game. I know a lot of people talk about Maxey and Tobias and those guys like that, but Melton, he had a great performance.
17 points.
He had a really nice performance, and he's capable of doing that again. He's a veteran, good shooter. So I think that is something to watch. The shooting in this game with Philly, the way that that offense is going to look with Embiid is going to be different, of course. But yeah, when you're talking about Mazzulla, and the whole thing with Ime, right? He has to show up in these playoffs, man. He really does. Everyone's looking at the Celtics as that team, right? They are the betting favorite in the Eastern Conference right now, right? And the question it's not really with the team, it's with the coaching. Can the coaching be as good as we saw last year? And the adjustments have to be there too.
And I think, like, we've noticed, especially I've seen a different Jason Tatum the second half of the season. He hasn't been as efficient. He hasn't, taken over, dominant as much. I've seen it from Jaylen Brown. I've seen Jaylen Brown take over games in that Atlanta series.
I mean, he only had 10 shots, though, in the last game. That's also due to Missoula.
Exactly.
Get the ball in his hands, but we got to see more from Jaylen Brown.
Exactly. And I think when I look at this team, there's so much pressure on this core for the Boston Celtics because we don't know what's going to happen after next year, right? Does Jaylen Brown get that all NBA nod and then be eligible for that super max? Because he's, there's been rumblings he doesn't want to stay in Boston. He's not happy, but he would stay for the super max because, almost $300 million.
I would too.
Who wouldn't,
you're
right?
a contending team as well. Where do you go after that? How do you leave the Celtics to go where else?
I think Jaylen Brown would have no problem having suitors across.
Oh,
the
he
league.
would, but I'm saying like in terms of if you're already with the contender.
Yeah, like they're on the cusp.
What's
make
the line you draw with how
year.
long you stay with the Celtics team before you decide it's?
And that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like this team has been together for since 18-ish around that.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 years, right? They've been an Eastern Conference power. So they went to the finals once. They got to a hot start and they kind of fell apart later on in the finals, and Steph Curry went nuclear and stuff like that. But it seems to me that the Celtics are at a crossroads right now. I think that they're at an interesting point where Jaylen Brown, has he tired of being put in that, in trade talks every couple months, right? Does he want to have more stability? Does he want to be a guy where, I want to be a focal point on a franchise. I don't want to be the guy that's plays second fiddle. And we've seen that before in NBA. We've seen Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
we've
but
seen
you can't be the only focal point. You got to have multiple stars on your team. And that's why, you're at the perfect spot to be doing what you're doing. Now, does he need to have the coaching on his side to get his offense going? Absolutely. Yeah. That's where Mazzola comes in. We know the adjustment. Derek White was awful last game.
He was.
Is what I will say. He was bad. And those shots could have easily gone towards someone like Jaylen Brown. So I'm not sure why that happened. But in terms of what this team is looking like together, it's still game one. They're still one of the best teams in the conference.
I'll just say real quick, though, if they do lose this series, there's going to be something happening in Boston. They cannot. I don't think they can lose this series.
Do you think the coach let's go first? Or
no,
just sign him for an extension.
They're going to look at the roster and the construction of the roster, see if they have to move something around. But to me, they can't afford to lose this series. And that's why I was very disappointed in them in game one. And you can't lose that game.
I hate to, Marcus Smart again had a lot of careless turnovers in game one as well. He needs to be cleaner with the ball if he's going to be that traditional point guard. And speaking of clean with the ball, the Los Angeles Lakers were very efficient last night in a game one victory, a 117-112 win over the Golden State Warriors. Shout out to Anthony Davis. I know me and Jelani get on you on a pretty much a day-to-day basis because we call you Street Clothes Davis.
Well, you call him Street Clothes.
I have. I actually called him the biggest waste of talent in NBA history. But he's proving me wrong these playoffs. Last night, Anthony Davis had 30 points, 11 of 19 from the field. Here's the thing, 23 rebounds. He had 4 blocks, right? He was an absolute dominant force in that game. LeBron, of course, 9 of 24 shooting. Not a very good night shooting-wise from the King. Still at 22 and 11 with 4 assists. Kind of a light night. D'Angelo Russell chipped in with 19 points. And Dennis Schroeder had 19 points as well. Whereas for the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry had 27. Kevon Looney, again, another 20 rebound night. Speaking of 20 rebounds, looking like a prime Dennis Rodman out there. Clay had 25. Dante DiVincenzo had no points, but Jordan Poole had 21. So, guys, let's start off with you, Noor. What was your biggest takeaway from this game? Was it the fact that Anthony Davis was just so dominant, or was this anything else?
Well, definitely Anthony Davis. Having him come out and watching him put 30 points, 23 rebounds, that's a crazy number for even someone of his stature, especially because we've seen him not be that level of a guy recently. And watching him do that against the defending champions, I think bodes very well for this Lakers team. And it makes you wonder, too, Kevon Looney's there. Yes, they have Draymond, but can someone even really stop Anthony Davis on the Warriors? No. So that's when he should be feasting and going off entirely. But it honestly, that game proved to me what I had already told you guys earlier. I'm sorry, I was a little bit right. I said Lakers have a deeper team than the Warriors do. And that's where the deeper squad showed up. I think Clay's going to have a game like that. That might be Clay's one of the best games they can get, 25 points. I don't think we can even expect 30 from him at this point of his career. Curry, though, I think will give you more. And Curry's going to have nights where he will go off. And that's what I think Steve Kerr needs to do. Just give the ball to Curry, make him play ISO, and go ham. And once he's playing ISO, you get guys like Jordan Poole to open up, Andrew Wiggins to open up. I'm glad to see that Poole also showed up recently. 21 points is not the best points for him.
Didn't show up at the end of the game.
Took a bad shot at the end of the
Yeah,
game.
but like
CTE basketball.
21, like, it's not bad for him though, because the past couple of seasons, like the past couple of series,
Yeah.
has been absolutely not even a playing factor. So I'm like, okay, that shows something, but I just don't think they have the depth to match what the Lakers have. And LeBron's not playing that well right now either. Let's keep that in mind.
Jelani, I will say this though: the Warriors only had 6 free throw attempts to the Lakers.
Sure.
What was it? 29 free throw attempts.
Yeah,
So
but we know why.
we know why, because the
They
Warriors
weren't inside, and
Yeah.
they can't go inside.
And I
against the
think
Lakers.
it also talk to me about Jared Vanderbilt's defense on Steph Curry, because I think that was again, Steph was efficient, did Steph things, but Jared Vanderbilt made him work for those points. And is that something that's really a key factor going forward in the series?
I think a lot of people were sleeping on Vandal coming into this series. They won the game obviously due to AD's brilliance, right? I was familiar, but like you showed up.
You're looking like Kentucky AD.
Yes, but the thing is that they also won due to that defense that Vanderbilt had on Steph Curry. He made him very uncomfortable. I know he had 27, but if you watch the game, Steph was struggling to get those shots up. He was struggling to find his spots. And you know how Steph likes to, run around the court. He's a major cutter. He was right with him. He was getting off his screens, going up inside of screens, things of that nature. So I saw Vanderbilt have a lot of effort. So I think if he can continue to do that throughout the series, it's going to be really tough for the Warriors to win the series.
Karina, now speaking of that, what do the adjustments do the Warriors need to make going into Game 2 to avoid going down 0-2 to LA?
Up your defense on some of the contributors on the Lakers who are getting you those points. I talked about Anthony Davis being the X factor earlier this week, and wow, I can't speak. Go look at what he did, and just like Tor said, like Lakers have depth, the Warriors need to defend that depth.
You guys want to know a crazy stat from that Game 1? Guess how many 3-pointers the Lakers had last night?
Like out of the team?
Oh, the team.
Right
The
here.
team total. Take a guess. Just take a crazy
They had
guess.
less than 10.
Not
They
a
had
lot.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess how many the Warriors had?
Didn't Poole,
21.
Clay, and Steph had 6 each?
Yeah. Poole had 6, Steph had 6,
Yeah.
and Clay had 6.
Rob Pelinka. Well done.
Talk
You
about
did
that. I
something
guess
after the trade deadline.
sometimes shooting a 3 does not be really pan out. But we will see what happens up in Northern California if the Golden State Warriors can bounce back in Game 2.
They
of course,
better.
we'll be back on Friday to break it all down for you on Hoop Talks.